You don't have the money for that." The phrase, loud and dripping with mockery, echoed through the opulent luxury car showroom nestled in the heart of Singapore's bustling Orchard Road. The sound of laughter followed immediately, dry, cruel, almost rehearsed. Some customers turned their heads, others feigned disinterest, but no one there could completely ignore the palpable embarrassment that permeated the air. At the center of it all, standing before the gleaming counter, was Marcus Tan, a simple t-shirt, faded jeans, a well-worn backpack slung over his shoulders, and a silence that spoke volumes more than any retort. He didn't react, didn't raise his voice, didn't attempt to defend himself. He merely looked, and that seemed to provoke them even further. Darren Lim, the impeccably suited salesperson, leaned over the counter, a crooked smile on his face. One of those smiles that barely concealed contempt. "This car costs more than you'll probably earn in years," he said, lightly tapping the counter as if explaining something obvious to a child. Beside him, Melissa Wong brought a hand to her mouth, trying unsuccessfully to stifle a giggle. Behind them, another employee turned his face away to conceal his amusement, but his shoulders visibly trembled. "If you're looking, there are pre-owned car dealerships down the street. Perhaps you'll find something more accessible there." More laughter. Marcus took a deep breath. It wasn't the first time he'd encountered such treatment, but today would be the last. Slowly, he reached into his pocket, pulled out his mobile phone. For a second, everyone assumed he was giving up, that he would leave in silence, just like countless others before him. But no, he made a simple, quick call without raising his voice. "You can come now," he said, nothing more, and hung up. Darren let out an even louder laugh. "Who are you calling? A friend to lend you money?" Melissa turned her face, attempting to hide her mirth, but it was too late. The scene was set. The simply dressed man, the luxurious environment, and the judgment already passed. Yet, Marcus's silence wasn't born of shame. It was born of certainty. The following minutes stretched out. The atmosphere returned to normal, or at least tried to, but there was something different in the air. Some customers began to observe with more attention. An elderly gentleman in a bespoke suit at the back crossed his arms. A woman near the display window slowed her pace. Then, the glass door opened, not with a sound, but with a presence. Two men in dark, sharp suits entered, followed by a woman carrying a sleek briefcase. They didn't glance at the cars, didn't smile, didn't greet anyone. They walked directly to the counter, to Marcus, and stopped beside him. Darren's smile vanished. The branch manager, Mr. Lim, emerged hastily from his office at the back, adjusting his blazer, trying to comprehend the unfolding situation. "Sirs, madam, may I assist you?" he asked, forcing cordiality. One of the men opened his briefcase, produced a document, and responded with a firm voice, without raising his tone. "Internal audit, group compliance team, responsible for the national network." Silence fell like a stone. Marcus finally spoke for the very first time. "Good afternoon, Mr. Lim. I am Marcus Tan, an independent consultant engaged by the group to evaluate customer service standards across our premium branches." The air seemed to vanish from the room. Darren blinked, confused. Melissa stood motionless. Mr. Lim swallowed hard. "I have just witnessed," Marcus continued, now looking directly into the manager's eyes, "a clear case of discrimination based on appearance, involving public humiliation and a complete failure to uphold the company's service standards." No one breathed, no one spoke. Marcus didn't raise his voice, but every word carried immense weight. "I didn't come here to buy a car." A pause. "I came here to evaluate you." The impact was immediate. Darren took a step back. Melissa lowered her gaze. Mr. Lim tried to speak, but found no words. The audit team member calmly jotted everything down, without rush, without emotion, as if he already knew precisely what to do, and perhaps he did. "This report," the woman from the team stated, "will go directly to the group's board of directors." Mr. Lim paled. Darren tried to explain, "It was just a joke. We didn't know." Marcus looked at him for the first time with firmness. "And that," he said, is precisely the problem. Silence. Believing that someone needs to appear wealthy to deserve respect. No one dared to respond. The rest of the scene unfolded quickly but left an indelible mark. Darren was immediately removed from the sales floor. Melissa was reassigned. Mr. Lim remained in absolute silence, knowing the repercussions would be severe. The showroom, that pristine glass and gleam showroom, was truly being evaluated now, and no one there was prepared for it. Marcus calmly picked up his backpack, without looking back, and walked towards the exit. But before stepping out, he paused, turned his head slightly, and said calmly, "The problem was never the money." A pause. It was the judgment based on appearance. And he stepped outside. The city's cacophony continued as always. Cars passing, people walking, horns honking, hurried footsteps, everything identical. But inside that showroom, nothing was the same. Because on that day, they didn't just lose a potential client, they lost their own image. And they learned, in the harshest way possible, that arrogance comes at a steep price. A very steep price. On that day, no one left that place the same way they entered, neither those who laughed nor those who watched in silence. Because in the end, it was never about money. It was about value. And those who fail to grasp this truth will, sooner or later, learn it.